Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show, and what we have here today is something that's kind of special. This is Valaverse Action Force Desert Rat, and what makes this special is that this action figure is based off of a real person. If you're watching a small channel like mine, I'm guessing you know who Tony Roberts is. I'm guessing you know what Analog Toys is. In case you don't, here's a quick rundown that Tony Roberts is a YouTuber that has a channel called Analog Toys, and he is a huge fan, and I think I am understating how huge of a fan he is of Action Force. He loves Action Force like I love G.I. Joe, okay? And he has done numerous videos on Action Force. He even has done a documentary on Action Force that I believe you can see it on his YouTube channel. You can also get it on DVD. And when Bobby Vala did a live stream with him, I forget when it was. I want to say it was 2020, might have been no, I think it might have been 2021. They were doing a live stream together, and Vala was like, "Hey, we want to turn you into an action figure in Action Force." How awesome is that? That this guy, Tony Roberts, is, I don't think it's an understatement to say that he is one of the reasons that there is this resurgence in Action Force right now. I mean, you got Valaverse doing Action Force, you got Skeletron doing the Robo Skull Kickstarter that just hit big, and I don't know, like, I really feel like he has been an influence in Action Force in some way, shape, or form over the past couple years. And the other thing that makes this really special is that Tony Roberts is a veteran. I know he served in the British Armed Forces. I am not going to go into any more detail than that because I don't want to misspeak. I don't know if he actually was in Special Forces, but I do know that he served in the British military. He did operate in one of the desert theaters. I don't know which theater it was, but you can even see that in his file card on back, it has his name on here. And this whole thing is just really cool. I mean, you have a man who served in the military, who was a huge fan of Action Force, and I believe Action Force was even one of the things that inspired him to join the military. And now it's all come full circle that he is immortalized in plastic in this action figure form, and that is just awesome. If you haven't seen his channel, I'm going to put a link to it in the description down below. Check him out. Check out his Action Force stuff. He's even done a series of webisodes on his channel about like the backstory of Desert Rat here, where he actually plays Desert Rat, acts it out. It's awesome. The whole thing is awesome, and I don't want to speak for the guy. I don't want to misspeak about the guy. So I'm just going to leave it there. And you go check out his channel if you haven't seen it, and check out Tony. It's really cool. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is that I don't have very much in Action Force. I'm more of a G.I. Joe fan than I am Action Force, but I did get Sergeant Slaughter, card and link right there. And that was the figure that I got when I backed the Kickstarter. I also got the BotCon the BotCon exclusive. I think it was the Wasp Warrior or the Mantis Warrior. The Mantis Warrior. And then I ordered this from Valaverse's website, and I got this in less than a week. My Steel Brigade figure that I pre-ordered from Big Bad Toy Store like I feel it's 3 years ago at this point, still hasn't arrived, is still back ordered, is still sold out, and I'm still getting emails saying, hey, it's waiting in a container. We're waiting to get the shipments. We're pushing your release date back. I've emailed them. I'm hoping that I'm still getting my Steel Brigade figure from them because Valaverse is sold out of Steel Brigade. Pretty much everybody is sold out of the first wave of Steel Brigade. And that was the one that one and Sarge were the two that I wanted the most from Valaverse. So hopefully, or from the first wave of Valaverse, rather. So hopefully that one will be coming soon. Frustrating. Very frustrating. But yeah, if you order from Valaverse, it actually got here really fast. Like, I think it got to me in like 3 days. Something else that you might notice looking at this packaging is that their packaging has changed. It's changed a lot. and I kind of like this better. First of all, the box is very compact. You can see that it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact than what we originally had. You still have the wave on the back, you still have the file card on the back, you have Action Force down the side here, and you still have some really nice artwork, character artwork, with the name of the figure, the wave, and the number designation of the figure. And I like how they did this, because if I would have kept my other Valaverse boxes, you would be able to see that like they would sort of fit on a shelf together. So if you're a non-carded collector or you keep it in the box, you could stack them on a bookshelf or on the shelf like this and have them all lined up. And that's pretty cool too for carded collectors. But I do like this color scheme better. It's bright, it's eye-catching, it's fun. It evokes that like original Action Force vibe. At least I think it does in my limited exposure to Action Force when they first came out. But now, that's enough rambling about Valaverse, about Action Force, about Tony, and about the packaging. So let's get Desert Rat out of the box and take a look at him. All right, before we get to the figure, I actually wanted to remind everybody about Valaverse's packaging, because even though the box has changed, the packaging has not, and the packaging is actually kind of impressive. That first of all, it comes out, the figure stand that we get is in its own Ziploc bag, and then we have this plastic sandwiching the figure in, and then on top of that, we still have this slip sheet right here that protects the figure from rubbing against the plastic shielding here. And there we go. Whoops, a hand fell out. But there we go. And I'm guessing, yeah, there's no twist ties. There's nothing holding him in. It just looks like there's friction holding him in. So if you are an in-box collector, but you still wanted to pull him out, you would be able to very easily get him back into the packaging and put him back into the box if you wanted to store him that way. So I appreciate their packaging. They do a really good job on this. Okay, out of the box and putting the tape measure to him, we see that Tony comes in at just over 6 1/4, maybe closer to 6 3/8 of an inch tall. Okay, bringing him closer to the camera, I just want to start off by saying the likeness of this figure, this is actually kind of amazing, and it never ceases to amaze me the sculpt work that these startup companies are able to do, that you're able to get things that are on par or sometimes better than Hasbro and Mattel. And don't get me wrong, I still love my G.I. Joe. Like, that holds a special place in my heart. It was the biggest collection I had when I was a kid. It's like been my number one fandom since I was a kid. But I really have to appreciate and love the look, the sculpt, the detail work a lot of these smaller companies are doing. Like, looking at something like this, I'm really looking forward to getting my Robo Skull and all the figures that are coming with that and taking a look at the work they were able to do. But for now, let's get back to Valaverse. Let's get back to our Desert Rat figure here that I really like. You can see that there's a little bit of texturing in the hair, that it's not just a smooth buzz cut. There is texturing in the hair right there. There's a little bit of a wash to it, giving it some color, giving it some depth to it. He has some 5 o'clock shadow, which is fantastic. His eyes, he looks like he's been up for days. He looks like he's been fighting for days. And it looks good. Like, there's a little bit of fatigue, but still, when you look in the eyes, he hasn't stopped fighting. This is fantastic. This scarf right here is a separate piece that if you pop the head off, it will come off. But it's also sculpted to just lay there in the tack vest. Perfect. Just perfect that it'll sit in there. And then we get down to the vest, and you can see, let's take the knife out for now, so you can get a better look at it. Oh, you can see he has the Union Jack on his chest. He has, I don't know what that badge is for. I'm guessing that's maybe, I'm not even going to try and guess. I don't know. I don't know what that's for. He has a squawk box, a mic right here that hooks up to his walkie-talkie. I don't know what the official name. It's got to be something more than a walkie-talkie, but you know what I'm trying to say. His communicator right here. He has pouches up front that these magazines do come out. They're a little tricky to get out because I got big fingers and these are small pieces of plastic, but come on. Okay, there, I had to fight it a little, but you do get the magazines out. They sit in those pouches, and these will feed into his assault rifle that we will take a look at in a moment, but I like how they just sit right there in the pouches up front. Getting down here, this belt is a separate piece, and it has his hip holster here for his sidearm, which I really like this. I like that the holster is up on his hip and not held down on his leg, Han Solo style, like a lot of figures do. Both G.I. Joe, Action Force, and a lot of like military figures have it down on the thigh now. I like that his is up on the hip. He also has some utility features on this side of the belt that these two magazines are for his pistol. They don't come out there, so they're sculpted, they're molded in there. But check this out. He has a little multi-tool back here, which is fantastic. And I think that is that a flashlight maybe, or a rangefinder or a monocular or something? But I just like how they have additional pieces of equipment that he would have back here. I really dig that multi-tool and how they actually painted the multi-tool, that it's silver instead of just being blacked out or the same color as the holster. That's something else that I like, that they really pay attention to the paint detail and they make things separate. Like I don't even mention this right here. You can see like this carabiner on his vest here. That the carabiner is black, but the latch is painted silver. That's really cool. He has his utility pouch down here that I don't know if that's rations, if that's his canteen, if that's his first aid kit. I don't know what that is, but he has this down here that I think this is a general accessory for a lot of the Action Force figures. And then he has these plain legs, which is understandable, but I like how it even comes down cuffed over the boot. This looks great. You can see he has two zippers right here for pockets into the pants. He has his cargo pockets right there. This whole thing looks fantastic. The detail work on the back of the vest. And yes, the vest does come off. You can see there's a little flap right there. You pop that open, the vest will probably come off. I'm not taking it off because if you watched my Wasp figure review, I took that vest off. I had a bugger of a time trying to get it back on. So that is just staying on our Desert Rat character for now. Now looking at the articulation, there's not any tilt really to the head, but it will do a full 360. He can really look up. He can bury the chin and look down. Whoop. He has butterfly joints. He has butterfly joints in the arms. They'll do a full 360. They'll come up to just about 90. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows with some decent range in there. Wrists swivel and wrists pivot. Now these two hands, and we'll take a look at his other hands later, these two hands, which are his trigger hands, pivot up and down, which I appreciate. All of the other ones pivot in and out, but his trigger hands pivot up and down just as they should. All right, now he does have a ab crunch underneath this vest, but because of this vest, how thick of a plastic this is, he doesn't really get to make use of it whenever the vest is on. But you can still get him forward pretty well, and he can really lean back pretty well. He also has some great side to side, and he has the waist twist, because he has this ball joint down here at the waist. Now we get down to his legs. He does have drop down legs, so you can get them out almost to 90. Push them back in. Legs will go forward. Legs will go back. Has a thigh swivel. Double jointed knees, and I forgot to mention this before, but these are pinless joints as well. You can see it in the arms, you can see it in the legs. Double jointed knees. Now there's no boots on him, so there's no boot cut, there's no swivel there, but the ankles have forward facing pin for rock, rock backwards, rock forwards. So that is our articulation. Pretty much what we've come to expect for a figure like this, what we've seen before in the other Action Force lines. Other Action Force figures that I've shown, only difference between him and Sarge is that he doesn't have the boot cut right there. Something else that I almost forgot to draw attention to that we should point out is his tattoo right here. Now, Tony Roberts really does have this tattoo, and I've never had a good look at it. I don't know what the full tat is or how far up his arm it goes, but look at the amount of detail and the paint they put in to this. This is fantastic. This is artwork right here. You can see it on this side too. This looks great. The detail work, the color work, the paint apps, everything staying where it should. Like there's no paint overspray on this guy at all. This whole thing is fantastic to take a look at. Now, starting with accessories, we're going to take a look at the one that I pulled out of his vest when we were taking a look at the vest, and that is this little knife that he has right here, this dagger. And this comes on the figure already, sheathed right there up front next to the magazines. And we've also seen the magazines already, so I'm not going to wrestle one of these out of the vest again. Next up, we're going to take a look at his sidearm, and I don't know exactly what it is. It's not a 9mm Beretta, I know that for sure. Maybe it's a Sig Sauer? I don't know. But I don't know what this is up top either. If it's like a holographic sight, laser sight, just open sights, I don't know. But it looks good, and it has a little hole up front you can see where you can put blast effects in there. And it fits very well into Desert Rat's hand. You just pop it in there, push it in, and twist, and there you go. He's holding it, it's sized well, it looks good in his hand, he's ready. Now, it also fits on his side, on his hip holster right here, that you just push it down in there, push it down in there, and it is a snug fit. It is not coming out, but it's also very easy to withdraw. So, like I always say with these figures, with it, whether it's G.I. Joe or whether it was Action Force, I really like that the figures can pretty much carry all of their accessories on them. Next up we have his assault rifle right here, and talking about paint detail and the attention to detail, I really like this. I really like how the magazine is silver, and yes, the magazine comes off, so you can swap it out with some of the ones in his vest, but even the action up here is painted up silver so that it stands out from the rest of the weapon, and then the stock and the barrel is painted like this olive green, and then you have the scope up top. This whole thing is molded very well, it's painted very well. That's one thing, or that's another thing actually, that I really like about the Action Force series. And if you saw when I opened up Sergeant Slaughter, the accessory pack, the weapons pack that I got with him, that they really pay attention to detail with the weapons, and it has a very realistic look to it and just really makes them stand out on the shelf. And much like the pistol, this fits in Desert Rat's hand very easily. You just pop it in and twist, and there you go. Our action man is ready for action. Out of the packaging, Desert Rat comes with 2 trigger hands. He also comes with a pair of non-triggered gripping hands. He comes with a pair of clenched fists. And he comes with these open palms that if you didn't see my review of Sergeant Slaughter, these might be my favorite hands that these Action Force figures come with. Let me show you why. Let's pop this one off, and we will put his rifle, his triggered hand on with the rifle in. Pop in there. And what this does is... Oh, come on. It allows him to cradle the barrel. Don't fight me. There we go. It allows him to cradle the barrel, and it looks great. Look at that. Look how natural that looks. Like, why doesn't every why doesn't every military figure come with a set of hands like that? Like, that just looks great. He also comes with his Action Force figure stand that has that diamond tread pattern, but if you turn it down, you can see that there are multiple pegs for him to stand on, so you can pose him anywhere on this stand. Also, it has this trench back here, so that whenever you cut the file card off the back of the box, you can set it there in the trench, set the figure on top of it, so then you have figure, file card, and stand all displayed together, which is fantastic. And finally, for Desert Rat, of course, we have his file card that's on the back of the box. But we also have these action points down here, which is obviously a riff on the old flag points that you used to get with figures and vehicles for G.I. Joe. 2 action points per figure. Don't know if they're ever actually going to do anything with these, but you better believe I'm cutting them out and I'm saving them just in case there ever is a giveaway and we need to turn those points in for something. Now, one thing that I saved for last is this backpack. And this backpack looks great, don't get me wrong. You can see all of the straps. You can see everything that it's holding in place. He has all of these pouches. There are zippers on it. There's a folded down handle right here on top. And he has a back peg for it. Now, the reason I saved this for last is because it doesn't really go well with Desert Rat. Because you can see that Desert Rat has this walkie on the back, and it bulges out a little. that when you try and put the pack on, it kind of gets in the way, and it doesn't really sit on the figure very well. So I have this spare backpack that I can use for one of my other figures, whether it's another Action Force figure or whether it's one of my Joes, but more than likely it's not going to be displayed on Desert Rat just because it doesn't really seem to fit right. But I do like the pack. It's very heavy too, actually. It's a solid piece. Has some real weight to it. Something else that I bought off of Valaverse when I bought Desert Rat is this 3-piece Blast Effect pack. And I think this was like $3. And this is how it came. It came, it came in a Ziploc bag, folded up in the same shipping box as Desert Rat. And I'm not going to blame them for that. It's 3 small pieces, but I just found it amusing that it was in a Ziploc bag. But we open this up, and you can see that there are 3 separate blast effects in here. There is a small one, a large one, and then one that's pegless because it would fit over the barrel of a rifle. And I believe we saw some of these blast effects with the weapons pack that I had bought before with Sergeant Slaughter. And now for size comparison, here he is with the only other 2 Action Force figures I have, Sergeant Slaughter and the BotCon exclusive Mantis. Here he is with Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Snake Eyes and Cobra Trooper. Here he is with the Lanyard Toys City Hunter Predator and White Xenomorph Drone. Here he is with McFarlane Toys Blood Angel and Raven Guard Space Marines from Warhammer 40k. And finally, here he is with Jazzware's Spartan Collection, Master Chief, and Noble 6. And I still say that even though the Spartan Collection leans more towards the 7-inch side of the scale, that they do scale properly with 6-inch figures. If you wanted to mash them in with, like, your G.I. Joe, your Action Force, what have you. So I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous about doing a review of an action figure that's based off of a person that really exists and really served in the military. Like, it's one thing to do a review on Sergeant Slaughter. He's a public figure. He was a wrestler. He's been involved in G.I. Joe. He's been involved in Action Force. He's been involved in so much over the years. But this is an individual that served in the military. This is an individual that is a real-life hero. And I really think this action figure is something special because of that. And I wanted to get it out there. I wanted to show it off to you. I wanted to take a look at it. I wanted to share it with you all. I think it's fantastic. As a figure, it works really well. Really well. You saw all the attention to detail. You saw all the attention to the paint apps. You saw how sharp everything was. You saw the face sculpt. Looks fantastic. I love the 5 o'clock shadow. I love that little bit of fatigue, but not yet tired look in his eyes. I think the whole thing works great. Also, you may remember that with the Sergeant Slaughter figure in that first wave, there was an issue with the joints being very stiff, the joints sticking, having to put heat to them. They've taken care of that. There was none of that issue with this figure at all. Everything moved smooth. Everything works great. Everything just seemed very intuitive, very natural to play around with, to pose, and get these shots for you. I think the figure is great. As a matter of fact, this figure alone may have reinvigorated my excitement for Action Force, because when it came out, all I really wanted was Slaughter and the Steel Brigade figure to pad out my G.I. Joe collection. But after getting my hands on Desert Rat here and seeing some of the other figures that they've brought out for Wave 2, and some of the figures that are coming down the line, like the female figures, like I've already pre-ordered, I think it's Eclipse and Kill Switch. And I pre-ordered them from Big Bad Toy Store. I may turn around and actually just buy them from Valaverse at this point. But they've really expanded the line. They're really doing some great stuff. And there's even a figure that I bought 2 of that was an army builder that's some sort of Desert Commando that was a Dorkside exclusive. I'll put a link to that in the description below as well. That you get those 2 Desert Commandos, plus we got Dusty coming out for G.I. Joe next year. And now we got Desert Rat here. That's going to be a nice little Desert Commando display, I feel. And I can't wait to get all of them and just have them on the shelf in a diorama. All together, it's going to look great. I have new excitement for Action Force now. And if you do, you should definitely check out some of the stuff that they've been doing. So that is what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this look at this figure. Like I said, if you don't know who Tony is, if you haven't been to Analog Toys, check out the link in the description and just go see what he's about. check out his love for toys, his love for Action Force. Check out the documentary that he did, and just enjoy it. So until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.